Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield at the Nottingham Theatre Hall on tour with the Addams Family, talking to two of the big stars. Samantha Womack, how are you?
Hello, very well.
Carrie Fletcher, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
You're both delicious. Let me get this clear from the beginning. I mean, when we go back to my childhood and Game On and things like that, thank you for the memories.
I'm slightly dubious to respond.
No, you mustn't. Don't respond, because it's unedifying. And then we look at you and this voice through the show. I think it's fair to say, acting-wise and vocally, you're just magnificent, Samantha. But Carrie, you sing this show beautifully. And the pair of you are wonderful. I was actually at opening night on Broadway for this, and it was rubbish. I walked out. I didn't like it. The theatre was too big. The show was too small. It's interesting. They've got it right with this. They put a ton of money into it, and it does make a difference.
Oh, thank you. We were conscious of Andrew Lipper, who came over to our rehearsal period. He had obviously he wrote the music and the lyrics, and I think he really wanted to get it right. And they'd all felt, I think, in New York that for whatever reason it hadn't quite worked. And so he's been delighted with this production, and we were really excited to give it its premiere here in the UK. It was very exciting to be part of that.
I guess Morticia's a tough role to play because you can't show off with it, because she's demure and she's classy and she's elegant. But at the same time, you've got to have sort of that creepiness and then touches with the emotion. It's a tricky role to play.
It is tricky, and lots of people have their own interpretation of what she should be. So some people want her really haughty and strong. Some people want her kind of matriarch. But she needs to be all of those things. I like the fact I'm playing her slightly softer in this, because I think because there's an argument very early on in the piece, we need to kind of solidify the family at the beginning. So if I was too arch and too cool, you wouldn't get the love between Gomez and Morticia, so it wouldn't matter if they fell out. So you try and colour that really gently. And then, yes, the bit at the end, you should see a little bit of vulnerability in her, hopefully, if I'm getting it right.
We do, and we fall in love with you all. And that's the thing. I mean, this is a creepy family. It's a bit like my own, really, to be honest. That's why I connect with it. Of course, you play this character Wednesday, which is glorious, on a Wednesday, which is just convenient. This voice you've got just sings through this theatre. I've heard so many bad shows have sound terrible. This show is perfect. Congratulations to the sound guy, because you sound amazing.
Thank you so much. I'll go and give him a hug later.
So let's talk about you theatrically. I mean, this isn't new to either of you. You're born to sort of do theatre. For you, is this great to be in? Because, I mean, you drive the whole show, don't you?
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's a wonderful show, and it's a wonderful character to play. Because the whole story hinges on a decision that Wednesday has made and a secret that she's asking her father to keep, which kind of makes the whole family fall apart. And she's kookier than anyone I've ever had to play, and I get to wield a crossbow and shoot a boy, so it's great. Perfect. It's the best part to play ever.
And then, of course, you've got to do that thing where you're cheeky and sarcastic, and you've got these wonderful zinger lines that Broadway does perfectly. Yes. Is that fun for you? Because if you sort of get bored with it, it will look old and tired, and the whole thing will become sluggish, won't it? You've got to be on your toes.
Yeah, each location as well, so because it's on tour, each theatre lends itself differently to the show. So all of that dialogue and all of that kind of sarcasm feels fresh in each place, because it I don't know what it is about a building, but a building very much dictates how the show feels. You kind of almost pick up its energy, and each show we've done in each place has felt slightly different. But the dialogue is written by Marshall Brickman, who wrote most of the dialogue for Woody Allen. So it's smart and it's sassy and it's quick, and you just can't fail to deliver it well, because it's so well written.
And it's got a sort of look of Wicked at times in this, which is no bad thing. That sort of collective dancing stuff behind you on the ensemble, they really add to the show, and they're almost invisible, but they're so important. It's clever what they've done.
Yeah, the ensemble play a huge part in this role, and the wonderful thing about this ensemble is that they all have their own individual characters, because they're all Addams Family ancestors. So you've got a matador, a ballerina, a Roman emperor, a jester. There's so many different characters, and it's so often that you get ensembles that are all they're all village people, or they're all factory workers, but they all got given homework in rehearsals to go back and sort of research their characters and give them names and backstories and how they died and come up with these gruesome stories, and it's just made the show something else.
Yeah.
I was researching both of you before the show, and what's interesting, certainly about your career, it seems to me, use the word blessed is probably over the top, because you're talented and you deserve to be here, but you've always worked and you've always had great roles. Is that down to agents picking the right things, or you just being magnificent?
No, it's to do with trying to find the right opportunity. So I'm back to being unemployed again for the first time in God knows how long, in January, and that worries me. It's always worried me. So I work really, really hard at making sure I get interviews for things that maybe they wouldn't think of me for originally, and that's the hard bit. The hard bit is digging for the parts that people wouldn't necessarily think of you for. So I changed from comedy to musical theatre, then film to drama. I keep trying to kind of navigate my way around it and not getting too stuck, because then I won't work as much. So
what I love about you as well, you're so credible. I mean, I grew up watching you on Game On, as I said before, and thank you for getting me through puberty. It was cool, that programme, wasn't it?
It was. It was written by Andrew Davies, who actually did Middlemarch, and he was kind of guy that did all the period dramas, but it was his little baby, and he and another writer called Bernadette Davis, they collaborated, and it was before comedy, it was for BBC Two, and it was before comedy became mainstream. It's before Men Behaving Badly became mainstream, so it was this very culty, very dodgy, quite, close to the bone writing, which we just laughed so much making it, and the audience, we did it in front of a live studio audience every Friday night. I mean, when you're young, you don't appreciate where you're at. I look back on those times and think that really was quite something. That 3 series of that we did was unlike anything else. It was
cool viewing. I mean, we all watched it. You're probably a little bit too young to remember it, are you?
Yeah, I've never seen an episode of it. I'm going to need
the videotape.
VHS. I wouldn't be able to play it.
We're so goddamn old, aren't we?
I've got it on DVD.
You've also made such really classy choices, which I think is one of the reasons you were such a big hit on EastEnders. I mean, you've been one of those people that's been with us for many years. You've never sort of taken the cheap reality sort of options, have you?
Never. Never say never. I might be desperate in a year. You never know.
What are they filming? Oh, Big Brother's on in January.
Oh, I know. Listen, reality TV is now a part of the world that we live in. I mean, it's really pretty much taken over, I think, kind of 50% of all TV. And things like that, and social media, and lots of things. The world is changing, and it's fast and furious, and so you have to kind of keep up. But I don't know. I mean, for me, it's always going to be down to the parts. If I can get a part acting, that's where I'm happiest. And unless I'm absolutely forced to, I'll try and stay off the reality.
Do you know what I love, though, is when you've got a gift like both of you, this voice and this ability to captivate an audience, you sort of don't need that until you're absolutely desperate. And we look at your career. I mean, so many shows. Just list some of them for those who might not know.
Oh, no. I started off in Les Mis. When I was 7, and then I did Chitty Bang Bang, Mary Poppins, went back into Les Mis, went back into Chitty as an adult, War of the Worlds, Christmas Carol, did Les Mis in Dubai most recently, and now this.
I saw you in that, and I thought you were one of the best Jean Valjeans I've ever seen. She was marvellous, wasn't she?
Thank you very much.
You really are incredible. And I tell you what it is about that voice. It's one of those things you can't be trained. All right, you might have been to school and done all that, but it's that God-given voice. Were you always singing as a baby? You must have been infuriatingly talented.
I was always singing. I don't know about infuriatingly talented. My brother told me to shut up more often than not.
Like real-life ADDAMS Family.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I tortured him like Pugsley too. But no, yeah, I've been singing ever since I could speak. There was never any question about what I wanted to do. I went through a phase of wanting to be an archaeologist, but that was because I was obsessed with Indiana Jones. So, but no, I've always wanted to sing, and I've always wanted to be part of musical theatre. It's kind of, there's never been any question.
I guess really this is the antithesis of Les Mis, in the sense that at the end of that show, everybody's dead and they're the lucky ones. This is about fun, really, isn't it? I mean, a man marries the moon at the end and goes off and fly. It's all a bit sick, but we need that right now. I mean, this is perfect timing.
Hopeful. It does feel like a hopeful piece. It's about moving toward the darkness, which is our last song. It is about kind of embracing those darker parts of yourself and loving them anyway. And without getting too deep, I agree. I think it is a really nice, hopeful, spiritual piece sometimes towards the end. It is about embracing who you are. What does normal mean? And so it's nice that people leave the theatre feeling, elated and happy. And we always get people standing at the end, which is, they are hard times at the moment, so it is nice that people are coming and having a great
Ultimately, it's about family. You take away the kookiness of the Addams family, and it's about and it's about a daughter asking her father to keep a secret, and that father not knowing how to tell his wife or keep that secret from his wife, and these two parents not knowing how to deal with their daughter growing up. And that's something that everyone can relate to, whether it's the darkest family on the planet or not.
And let's face it, we're all dysfunctional when it comes down to it. It's just to what level, isn't it, really?
Absolutely.
We might not all sleep in a coffin, but it's the same sort of thing. I live in Nottingham, for example. Very finally, on the EastEnders thing, I mean, it's been an interesting week for press for them. I've got to ask you the question about it. I mean, is there any gloating, or are you done with that and let them get on with it?
No, and I'm always very wary of making one single person a scapegoat. I think that, ideas are brought to him too. It's very easy to pin the blame on one person. I don't think it's helpful. I'm devastated that they were killed. But my heart goes out to him and to everyone that's struggling in the show, and I wish them well, because it's full of really talented, hard-working people. So I hope they get back on their feet.
Just saying to Les, I was up in Manchester recording with them a few weeks ago. I don't think there's any generation of performer that works harder than Soap. No. I mean, these guys are in early in the morning till late at night. It's relentless. It's boring. It's out of sync. I mean, it's a proper job.
I have worked in every type of job, whether it be film or musical theatre or comedy, and I thought I'd be prepared. It's not just that. It's also the fact that the writing, sometimes each time you get a different writer on board or a different director, they're always trying to change the character. So it's trying to hold on to that and fight tooth and nail to keep her authenticity, and that's no easy feat.
And also, it's not a democracy.
I was killed.
But it's not a democracy, is it? You can't demand to be number one or still be successful.
No.
That's the tough thing of Soap, that they come and they go and they battle it out. You both are A, delicious, B, enormously talented, and this show is wonderful. The Addams Family's on tour, and really they've put a ton of money, which pays off for the viewer. You sit there and watch this spectacle. They've done a great job, Carrie. Thank you so much.